All right, good afternoon, Brokers Playbook, to all brokers in North America, to my fellow Canadians, to my fellow Torontonians. This is Simeon Papailias, co-host of the Brokers Playbook. My beautiful friend Laura Martin will not be joining me this afternoon. She is currently training her agents down at Global Matrix. Good afternoon, Rebecca Himelfarb. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Rebecca, I know who you are. You are on the executive of Forest Hill Real Estate, one of the most established and oldest brands in the city of Toronto. And I want you to give us just a quick introduction as to who you are and what you do.
Absolutely, I'd love to. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I do quite a bit. I'm kind of a jack of all trades in this company. I'm fortunate enough to be born into real estate. I actually started when I was 13 years old. So now at 30, I have 17 years of experience, which I think is a very, very, very valuable aspect of my upbringing. So I'm very thankful for that. A big part of what I do is corporately help manage the company the best I can. Things like our marketing, our training programs, our recruitment, our expansion, those are kind of my main domains. I also have quite a few offices of my own. My main office is our Yorkville office, which is where I am right now, where I'm really a manager and a recruiter. I also have worked with over 15 offices to open up additional locations for Forest Hill. I still work as a realtor, believe it or not, occasionally with friends or family. And then a lot of what I do is recruitment. So working with realtors, training, mentoring, really helping grow realtors' individual businesses. And then also working within the company to set up systems to help alleviate any concerns or issues that our realtors might have. So for example, I noticed something that is a pattern a lot of realtors are having an issue with, and I would create a system to deal with that specific topic.
And are you a postgraduate? What kind of education do you have? What's your path been like?
So I actually had a very interesting path. I didn't always think I would be in real estate full time. I started very young. I was a receptionist, an administrator. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't sure it's what I wanted to do. I actually really loved psychology. I ended up going to McGill. I got my Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and Behavioral Neuroscience. And for a long time, I thought I would do a post-grad program and go into the field and go into psychology. In about 6 months after I graduated from McGill and finished my undergraduate, there was an opportunity to open up this office in Yorkville. And my mom, who had been a realtor for 25 years, and I hadn't really done that much at this point. I was probably about 21 and just had a lot of experience in the office space of real estate, but hadn't kind of gotten all the lovely accomplishments I have now. And she kind of convinced me to do it and said, you know how to run an office. I know how to sell real estate. Let's do this. I think a month later, we were in Yorkville on this teeny little space. We had just the upstairs space of this 3-floor office I have now, a couple desks. I think we walked in with 3 realtors that we had as friends. Since then, it's been about 7 years. We have over 220 realtors here, about 20 staff. It's the main office for Forest Hill Real Estate. It's now the head office for marketing, training. It's where a lot of our systems and materials come out of this office and then are disseminated within the company. And I kind of fell in love.
I think your studying of psychology, the Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, did land in the right place. Because so much of what you do, and I know a lot of what I do as running a team of senior agents in a marketplace like Toronto, if anyone thinks it's easy to keep people's minds focused, to keep their fears and their insecurities at bay, to make sure they prioritize and use their strengths to win daily in the marketplace. We transact literally billions of dollars in real estate a year. 220 Forest Hills agents, I can imagine what the volume is. I know the market that you transact in. So I think your background and all your, like, for you to get into that field, obviously you have an interest in how people think. And I think you have landed, and I think you're making great use out of your education.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I always have a joke I say where people will say, so why didn't you go into psychology? And I say, I did.
100% you did. Brokers Playbook podcast is 100% laser focused on elevating the game in real estate in the real estate broker and mortgage broker industry. We're brothers and sisters in those industries. We need each other. We go to battle every day together in order to make the things that all the things that happen. Somebody has to make them happen, and everybody's situation is so unique. This episode specifically, and the reason I asked you to join us is because you've done a tremendous job at growing the Forest Hill brand, you and your team. And this is the time of year we're in the beginning of, well, middle of Q4 at this point, smack dab in the middle of Q4, where a lot of agents, whether real estate or mortgage, are looking for a fresh start. 2020 may be the banner year for new starts. I personally have added almost 15 agents, senior agents to my team this year. And in my opinion, it's not so much what I've done differently, it's what I haven't done differently. And I stuck to my result, and I've stuck to our business plan. And people are watching to see how people weather through these things. So companies with solid foundations, whether it be Royal LePage, Remax, I don't care about the name. You're at the helm of Forest Hill Recruiting. A lot of people are going to be looking to make a move. People who were unhappy with the direction their brokerage took, people who are unhappy with what they personally did. They shit the bed. They got too scared. They didn't do enough. They did too much, whatever the case may be. What is the number one driver for change surrounding that January 1st date, the psychological component? And let's talk about that first.
The number one thing that you need to have to be a successful realtor is confidence. It's all, this is a business of confidence. It's, you can walk into, not in a party anymore, but maybe walk into your chiropractor's office and they say, what do you do? And you say, well, I just got my real estate license and I'm just going to start training and I'm thinking about selling houses. And they'll go, that's great, good luck. Or you can walk in and they'll go, what do you do? And you go, I'm a realtor. I love it. It's incredible. The market's insane right now. Condos have never been so feasible in downtown. The outskirts market has never done so well. This is the time to invest in a townhouse. This is the time to wait and buy that condo you always wanted that you can't afford. This is the time to get in at an incredible price for a lease. It's just such a great business. And your chiropractor is going to go, that's incredible. Can I get your card? Opposed to them going, that's nice, good luck with it. So the question for me is always, how do you get that confidence? And a big part of that is training. A big part of it is support. And a big part of it is mentorship. So it's having this trifecta of knowing that even if you get a question you can't answer, you're going to be able to get the answer fast enough that you don't have to worry about someone asking the question. And that's when things start to get really fun.
It's someone
having your back. Yeah. Or having a support system where they, more than one person has your back.
So do you think the fact that so many brokers make a move for Jan 1, do you think that's simply tied to the new year, the new beginning mentality? Is that what it is? That people wait, like, I'm making my move for Jan 1, and I have so many people sitting right now that are going to be starting Jan 1. I don't argue it because, for me, I don't understand the difference of November 13th versus any date. Could be Valentine's Day, could be Independence Day. As far as I'm concerned, it's a day to break bread and to do some business. But why do you think the majority of people love Jan 1? What's going through their minds?
Yeah, I think there's a couple reasons that people love that. I have the same thing. Obviously, I'm a recruiter as well. I have a couple people who are starting Jan 1, as it always seems to be. One is that yes, the psychological aspects of it, where it's a new year, it's a new me. This year is going to be different. I'm starting off on another foot, which is fine. I think there's no problem with that kind of mentality, whatever motivates you. And then the second thing, and this is often why I'll say if people are really, really busy, let's wait till Jan 1, is that from maybe December 12th, the second week of December until January 4th, the business gets really slow. It's not a good time to go on showings. It's not a good time to spend, to work really. This is when everyone wants their break. This is when they take their time off. This is their stat holidays. It's when a lot of realtors take their break as well. And it's a good time, especially for a very, very busy realtor, to do that onboarding, switch over your branding, update your website, update your email signature, transfer your listings, or sell your listings and then start fresh at the new brokerage without having to transfer them or change over. So I think a little bit also has to do with that downtime that we so rarely have, and we all know comes at the very end of December.
What would you say is the number one reason a realtor makes a move? What's your feedback on that?
I think there's two reasons people leave. One of them is money, and that's always obviously a motivator. And the second one is a bad taste in your mouth. The number one reason you leave your brokerage is because something has occurred, an event or an experience that has made you realize that you can do better. Either they're giving out leads and they've decided you're not worthy of them, or your manager has been rude to you, or another realtor's taken advantage of you, or you really needed support for this one deal and you just couldn't get it. It's typically noticing this deficit for the first time. And I usually find that it comes with some kind of event, either interpersonal or business related. And that's usually the first step where people go, wait a second, there's hundreds of brokerages in the city. If I'm not fully happy here and I'm not feeling great and I don't want to go to work because I'm getting a bad feeling, why don't I find somewhere I love? So those are usually the two biggest motivators that I find. And then from there, that's when people really start doing their research. That's when they go, okay, what do brokerages provide and what do I need? And that's when, people like us get to have our day.
100%. Is there a specific set of incentives that you specifically use to bring a new agent on board? And I'm not talking about the deal like 90, 10, 80, 20. That's nonsense. Mm-hmm. That's business terms. Anybody can negotiate their deal. But an incentive from what do you use as your go-to to provide value to the agent that other people would have a tough time competing with you on?
So I'd say there's three things that we do very, very well, but not a lot of brokerages do. Or not every single brokerage does, I should say. One is administrative support. We have very, very well-trained administrators who are full service. So they broker load listings, write offers, they'll book your showings, they'll do your comparative market analysis. So if you're someone that's very busy, but not at that point where you really want a team or an assistant, you can offload a lot of your work onto our administrative team. They're compensated very well. They're very very well staffed, so you never have to worry they won't have time for me. So that's a big benefit for a busy realtor to be able to get, booking 300 showings for the next month off their plate, or even just writing an offer or broker loading a listing. The second one is just having that 24/7 support. So when we have a new realtor who joins Forest Hill, one of the components of our onboarding system is them meeting 3 different people who are their 24/7 supports. These are 3 people that at 11 p.m. when you were freaking out, any 3 of them would pick up the call.
That's right.
So that makes a big difference as well. And then my third one, which I love and is new for the last couple of years, is we actually have an on-staff marketing team. So similar to you, but very, very focused on the realtors and at no charge back to the realtors. So especially when they're onboarding, there's so much that needs to be done, and it's done so well and so quickly in terms of all the transfer information. And then as well, there's so much custom material that our team can create. They'll create things like brand guidelines for your personal business. So who's your demographic? Who do you want to target? What areas are you interested in? And what color scheme? What kind of logo? What kind of influence are those demographics going to respond to? And then how do we target those demographics?
And help people create their personal brand.
Sorry, say that one more time.
You truly help people create their personal brand.
Exactly. And we're very invested in your personal business. It's not all about Forest Hill and our brand and our logo. We want you front and center. We want you to be a superstar, and we want you to do it with our help. But everyone knows Forest Hill. We want them to know your name.
So I think that's a major trend now. It may have not been this way 10, 20, or 30 years ago, because I'm going to say from the time I started, which is 15 years ago, 14. I started in 2016. My partner started in 2000. I started in 2006. He started 2004. He's a year and a half in the business, more than I am as a salesperson. But what I have seen change is everything. Meaning, so when I started with Coldwell Banker to today, where we are in our real estate path, nothing is the same. Like, and I mean nothing. Not branding, not consumer confidence, not consumer notion, how we're viewed in the business, who makes the money, how they make the money, what is a transaction, all like the way a transaction is structured from beginning to end is fundamentally the only thing that's the same is that signatures are required. But the advice that we give
Yeah.
in the amount of due diligence that goes into a deal today versus yesteryear is night and day. It's a savvy marketplace. Yeah. Toronto is educated. Toronto is wealthy, and Toronto has high expectations. Yeah. I want to go back to a point where you said if at 11 o'clock you want to call somebody for help. The reason people call us for help at 11 o'clock is because they're working, and typically they're in multiple offers, and this is probably anywhere between 4 and 6 hours in to multiple offers. The stakes couldn't be higher for the consumer sitting beside them, panicking in anxiety, riddled with nerves, and every time the offer goes back, they're dropping 25, 50, or 100K at a time. That's not a normal setting whatsoever. So they have such so I'm going to the consumer now. The client is in the car gambling with hundreds of thousands of dollars, making the biggest decision possibly of their entire existence. And they're sitting beside one of your agents. The agent is now rattled after round 4, and they need support. If they call and nobody picks up, like the difference is when you lay it out for what it is, not, oh, when you call me at 11, I'll call. When your client is panicking, you are out of ideas on how to bring this deal together. Nobody's receding ground. Everybody wants what they want. You're about to go into the 6th hour and you're about to drop or lose this deal. And you don't have someone to call. I will leave that brokerage.
And that's why that's one of the big catalysts for people leaving, is not having that. Because that's, like you said, it's a high pressure situation. It's a make or break. And especially if you're a brand new realtor and this is your first multiple offer situation, I want you calling me every hour of that deal. I want you to call me when you start the multiple offer. I want you to call me after the first round. I want you to call me every single round to let me know what's happening. And I'm in communication with you until either you've hit your highest and you're out of the multiple offers or you get that deal. Yeah. And there's also a lot of, to be fair, there's a lot of theory within it. There's a lot of tools that you need to know how to use to properly negotiate and deal with a multiple offer situation. So just to not have that support, I can't imagine a new realtor handling it correctly on their own. It's a different language for the first little while.
As you know, I'm a pretty outspoken guy, and it's with intent. When I bring on, when I have a conversation, I'll have a conversation with anyone, meaning if you're going to come on my team, if you can't respect the fact that I respect you, if you're 2 years in the business, I don't think you're a better realtor than me, but I respect you as a human being. I'm going to give you all the tools you need to succeed. And I know as a fact, I'm going to learn something from you. It might not give me the edge in a multiple offer scenario because you don't have the experience, but I'm going to give you that experience. You're going to give me something in return. But I remind every agent, and this is where that whole conversation leads to. When you are going to be put in that position that we just discussed, that high stakes offer, which is not every day, but it's often enough to be a real thing. If you practice in Toronto, it's very often. And there are certain people that consistently win, and there's certain people that consistently lose. The people who win are the people who will take insight and advice from everyone. Meaning you never know what's going to give you the edge at the end, and you have to be coachable. But you also have to know that if you're competing against me, for example, in a multiple offer, You have to know the reality that I've seen 600 multiple offers. It's a fact. It's undeniable because I have. So I have seen every trick in the book thus far. Next trick will be next week. But if you don't think to call me at 11 o'clock when you're about to lose because you're going to have an insight gain and potentially win, then it's on you. But to know that you can call a Rebecca, you can call a Simeon, you can call a Jeff, you can call a Nicole, who have 20 years experience, have been winning in this market, that, in my opinion, is what any, and I'm speaking for Toronto-centric right now only, if you're in any urban market where the competition is fierce, where it's literally a Shark Tank of senior agents going at it daily, this is where you need the help. This is where you need the guidance. So I will agree that, or I will put it down right now, the number one tool that any new agent should be looking for if they're making a change in the new year is that mentorship and support.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. Can't do it without it.
Rebecca, I want you to give some tips there's obviously teams have become a massive part of our landscape. I personally am part of a team. I'm not a brokerage. I'm the REC team inside Royal LePage Signature. And I've been aligned with Royal LePage for a long time, and I get a tremendous amount of value from them. God bless them all. But what would be your top 3 tips to, let's call it a team of three realtors in a mortgage broker want to team up, start their team, and they want to attract fellow realtors? What should they be looking at structuring? How do they go about going outwards to their fellow colleagues and saying, why would you want to work with us? Like, give me some of those tips. How should they structure themselves?
The very first thing they need to consider is how they're adding value and then what that value is worth. Again, it's always going to be the same basic things that people need. They're going to need administrative support. They're going to need business acumen support. They're going to need marketing. They're going to need training, and they're going to need leads. So are you going to give them all 5 of those things? Are you going to give them a few of those things? And what's the cost to you? What's that worth to you? I think when it comes to actually developing a team, the number one thing that you really need is that support and a lead generation system. Someone coming into a team is really looking for, it's typically newer realtors. It's someone who probably, I can't speak to everyone, doesn't have too much business independently and is hoping to be able to work with the team, get some more business, and then, of course, share the commissions. So the 2 big ones I'd say are personality, attitude, mentorship. Are you someone people want to work with? Honestly.
So take a good assessment first. Or basically, are you an asshole or are you a nice person?
Yes, consider it. It's good to know regardless about yourself. It's good to know. Yeah. And then also, are you a delegator? Are you a manager? Because there are sales reps who are incredible sales reps and are not managers and they're not delegators. It's just not what they're good at. So you got to consider, is that your skill set?
Just expand on that a little bit. What's the qualities of a great salesperson versus a great manager or leader?
So a good example could be that a great sales rep is very aggressive, very abrasive, very strong-willed and determined, and maybe not someone that you want to go for dinner with every night, but someone you want handling your real estate transaction. A manager, you almost want the opposite. This is someone you want to be very approachable, very easy to speak to, very patient and accommodating, and someone that you would ideally like to sit down with and have a conversation about your business or your issue. So they can be very different personality traits. And then organization, I have to say, you can be an incredible realtor and not be that organized a person or someone who isn't that what's the word, that interested in having things a certain way, or that type A personality. But once you get to managing a large team, you really need organization. This is when you are having a huge volume of deals, leads, questions, emails coming in. And if you don't have a system to deal with all these inquiries, you're not going to have a happy team.
I would love to do maybe in a few months we'll do another one of these sessions, excuse me, and maybe share. I'll share my team systems. You can share your team's infrastructure. Meaning, how did we come up with the systems that we did and why, and how agents everywhere or teams everywhere can implement some of those ideas. Because I can tell you that at least half of my things are not original to me. They're regurgitated systems from the marketplace where I take the best of Forest Hill, the best of Remax, the best of Joe the Realtor, and I implement and make my own sauce. So there's a tremendous amount of repurposing that's always happening to find the best practices and methods. So I would love to do that. Do you have any, Rebecca, are you good as far as the advice we've given? I can wrap this thing up.
I think I've said most things I'd like to say. The last thing I'll kind of finish with, and this is always a big one, and I know I've said this already in this conversation, find someone you want to work with and find someone you trust. You know, a lot of people go to their brokerage because of the manager, and that's not a terrible system at all. If you have someone that you trust and that you can call at any hour of the day, you have 90% of what you need to be a successful realtor. The rest is just icing on the cake.
I absolutely love that. Rebecca Himelfarb from Forest Hill, you are genuinely a gem. You're a beautiful woman inside and out and very accomplished in your field. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time. And I want to thank you on Laura's behalf because she couldn't make it. She had to bail an hour and a half ago. She shot me a message that she was in the training. So thank you so much for your time. You have brought great insight and value to every broker in our audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.